and welcome to Faith'sFlix, Nostalgia for the Unsupervised. Today we take a look at Spike Lee's smutty 1996 film, Girl 6. I'm Faith, your host and guide through the wonderful world of my unsupervised childhood movie viewing. I'm coming to you from my bedroom in North Carolina. I'm 20 years old. I'm a business major and a creative. I'm the creator of Estrozine, a digital zine focused on feminism with a dash of comedic edge. I have all the full posts on my Instagram, and I have each month's article on my Substack as well. And I'll put those in the description for you to enjoy. Now, let's turn on our fatback TVs, make sure Disney Channel is on the last button on our remote, and get ready to dial 6 for sex. Girl 6 responds to the AIDS epidemic of the She's Gotta Have It era in 1986. Suzan-Lori Parks, who surprisingly wrote the Spike Lee joint, is also known for her plays like Effing A, Venus, and Top Dog Underdog. I haven't seen these yet, but they sound very fascinating. I really want to see if I can find any video or full scripts. Girl 6 is set against the backdrop of the 90s call girl boom and explores the revolutionary concept of working from home in the SW industry. It's very intriguing how this ancient profession adapted to new norms, mirroring today's gig economy where many people have side hustles, even if not as risque. The film follows a struggling actress, Judy, who takes up phone SW work to fund her LA dreams. By the end, Judy seems more addicted to the job than the money itself, enduring extreme abuse only to face the harsh realities of Hollywood. Rewatching this made me feel empty, but we'll dive deeper into that later. And if you can find it, I found it on a website that you find movies on sometimes. And if you can find it, please watch it before you go and watch the full episode of this. But if you've already seen it or don't care, feel free to simply don't talk, listen. I first saw this film when I was about 10 years old. I know, but from ages 7 to 10, I had a nightly habit of coming downstairs at 1, 3 a.m. and watching movies on primarily Disney because my motivation at first was to watch Xenon or Rip Girls because Disney would always play the good the good DComs at like 3 in the morning. So that's what I do. And I would also watch the Stars Network, where I ran into this movie for the first time. And my perception of schmecks at the time was rightfully limited to basic anatomy and function, as you would, but like a lot of the stuff that like would be going on, I had like context, but not like context. And I was very much like, why would somebody want that or do that, etc. And I remember being frightened the most by, not frightened the most, but like one memory of me being like scared of it is like the ending, not the ending, but the scene before she moves to LA and she's like, she's not even like in the scene. Hold on, Judy's not in the scene. It's like an elevator and it goes down and it's this weird guy and he's like, it's just like dun dun. I remember being so frightened because like imagine if you've already watched the movie or you're watching it like as you're listening and you're at the end, you'll see what I'm talking about. Imagine being in a dark living room and seeing that. You'll know. I'll put it in here. I'll put it in the video if you're watching the video, but like, yeah. I also remember Judy's whole transformation as she becomes Girl 6 and the fashion too. And you can thank Sandra Hernandez, the costume designer for this film, for the awesome fashion. Like, it's just so iconic. I also have a very visceral memory of the scene where Judy's at her apex with her SW working, and she's like, it's just so like visceral, you know? Like, I didn't really identify with it other than like feeling bad for her, but now as an adult, I'm like, I feel like that like every week sometimes on the real. Like, she's just like over it, and I can't disagree. So let's get into the stars. We have Theresa Randle as Girl 6, Judy, Isaiah Washington as her ex-husband, Spike Lee as her roommate, Jimmy, Peter Berg as the scary guy at the end. We'll come back to him. We have Madonna as Judy's second boss, Quentin Tarantino as himself, basically. Ron Silver as a caller. He's a detective, a reporter. I think he's Judy's agent. Yeah. We also have Naomi Campbell as Girl 75. She wears the iconic model suck tee. We have Halle Berry as a reporter, Jennifer Lewis as Judy's boss, and that's it. So let's get into the film.
In She's Gotta Have It, Jungle Fever, and Malcolm X, director Spike Lee got in your face. Now he's gonna get in your ear.
You've just reached the hottest live talk line around.
Acting is about feelings.
The only reason
I take that.
somebody's got to hire me, huh?
I hope so.
Greatest romantic African-American film ever made.
Directed by me, of course.
Person we're looking for needs to ooze sexuality. Could you unbutton your blouse?
Nope.
You walked out on QT, the hottest director in Hollywood. Sharon Stone, spread Hollywood.
That's the business, honey bunch.
I got to eat and I got to pay my rent. I hear this is a place where a girl can make lots of cash.
You're an actress.
How are you acting? You're not on stage, not in front of the camera.
I'm girl 39.
Oh my God, I'm gonna explode! Yes!
Good.
I'm girl 29. Don't I look pretty with my long blonde hair and big blue eyes?
Don't my feet look pretty?
No inhibitions, no taboos. My best features are my big.
Bitch.
You like that, Mr. Joe Schlabachnik?
Dude, what do you do to your ex? You got that guy crazy. He wants to get back with you.
Ooh.
I didn't know you was such a freak.
I always was. You just never brought it out.
The pilot called you from his cockpit. Dag, no wonder the plane's been falling out of the sky left and right.
Theresa Randle,
I'm gonna hop on the plane and go to Hollywood and live out my dreams. What are you gonna do? You're gonna collect autographs and take the next person that moves into my building and make them pay your rent.
Spike Lee,
Jimmy no live here! Jimmy no live here!
Isaiah Washington,
I'm gonna miss you, Junior.
Judy. I always did like you when you called me that.
Jennifer Lewis,
Debbie Mazur,
Peter Berg,
Naomi Campbell,
Ron
Richard
Silver,
Belzer,
Halle
Quentin
Berry,
Tarantino,
John Turturro,
Madonna.
with songs by Prince.
Girl 6.
She's the only thing better than being there.
Okay, so we begin Girl 6 with a original song by Prince. He is also at least half of the soundtrack for this movie, with some Vanity 6. There's Nasty Girl in one scene, I forgot, but like he's pretty involved in the whole musical aspect of the movie, which I really like. The intro music is very sensual, and the whole like visual experience is very cheesy but like sensual at the same time. A little bit weird, but you know, what are you gonna do? We come into Act 1 with QT, Quentin Tarantino, holding a audition for a black romance. And as I was watching the movie at this point, I'm like, what would that even, like nowadays, what would a Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee collab black romance movie be like? And I, like, for some reason came up with like a slave ship romance, love triangle, musical with choreography like in School Days, that movie, with a surprise cameo of Lin-Manuel Miranda as a conquistador or something. I don't know. And he's like Lin-Manuel Miranda-ing, and then he gets pushed off the ship or something. 'Cause I don't know. It's just like, it seems so on brand, and it's only a matter of time. But back to the story, back to the movie. We have QT. He's giving Judy all of these directions. Do this. Give me that. Ew. 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 He's like, ooze sexuality. And I'm like, oh, no. Yuck. What the heck? It's so gross. But like, after that, he wants her to take her top off, and she almost does it, but then rushes out to her agent's disappointment. He gives her like a tongue lashing about it. Oh, you should have did it. All these other actresses would have did it in a heartbeat. And I think he's like, you're on your own, kid, or whatever, and just like sets her loose. And we follow Judy on a night out in NYC, and we get a peek at some of her odd jobs. She's a coat check girl at a nightclub, and she passes out computer seminar flyers in the streets of New York, and it's very bleak, colorful, but like tonally bleak, you know. And the following day, she's at her acting class, and her teacher is on her too about not like bending to the director's rules and just doing it because all these other women have done it, and it's just normal. And she's like, you're ruining your career by not making yourself uncomfortable, basically. basically, and she's like disappointed in her acting in the class, and she's like, where's the bottom? It needs a bottom. Where's the where's the soul? Where's the heart? It's giving nothing, you know? And I'm like, damn. Like, can Judy catch a break? I guess not. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say it was very like sad and funny, but not like ha-ha funny. Like, just kind of funny in a sense that nothing's really changed in like almost 30 years, you know? This kind of like talk is just more covert now, and it's still irritating, you know? But anyway, Judy finds a promising ad in the newspaper while job hunting on the subway with a cold. Like I said, can't catch a break. And she finds a call girl job in the newspaper and goes to see what it's all about. So we have Judy. She goes to the interview at the call girl center place, and she's being interviewed by Jennifer Lewis, and she's, you know, they're pretty much on the same idea that, yeah, you're hired essentially, and Madonna shows up as a entrepreneurial call girl and runs Judy through the whole call girl day and offers her a job with her own line so she can do this at home and not have to, you know, clock in and do it. But Judy chooses to try being a call girl in the call girl center first. And as Madonna's giving her the rundown, she's like, these guys are into all types of stuff. Essing's really big right now. It must be the stock market. I don't know. And I thought that was funny. I can't say I can't say what she said, but I don't know. Chocolate sauce is really big right now. It must be the stock market. I don't know. And it's really funny. And on the way home from the interview, not on the way home, no. The day after, Judy is at a bodega getting some fruit, and her ex-husband strolls in. His whole thing is that he's a shoplifter, ne'er-do-well, and he has a baby harness on with the word baby on it in like marker, and he's like grabbing fruit and putting it in the baby harness and like patting it and bouncing it up and down. And it's so ridiculous. And I don't blame her for complaining to him, to her her neighbor, Spike Lee. He plays Jimmy, her neighbor, who's a baseball card collector guy, and he's, you know, being her confidant and helping her get ready for this weird scene where she's like Dorothy Dandridge in Carmen Jones. And this happens like a couple other times. She's like in these TV shows or movies, and it's like a disassociation, kind of like in Precious, but like, I don't know, like in Precious, the context is like her life is like so horrible, she's disassociating to get out of it, and like in Judy, I don't know why they did it in here. I don't know why that's like, maybe it's like correlating with what's happening in the plot, but like, why is she Carmen Jones? I don't get it, but it's a nice scene. And the day after that, she is at the call center getting a rundown from Jennifer Lewis. She's giving all the call girls an education on, you know, how to do things. You might hear my dog huffing and puffing in the background. Just ignore him. His name is Spartacus. He's a good boy. As I was saying, she's like, unless otherwise specified, you are white. And I'm like, wow, you know, like, all of this is like still here now in 2024, but it's more covert, but it's still like jarring to hear it like out loud, you know, but you know, white's just the default, I guess. She also helps Judy come up with her call girl persona for these clients, and pretty soon she has her very first John, essentially. Her very first John, and he's a big deal guy from Texas. That's what it says on the computer as she's being given the call. And he has a fantasy about, like, you know, just, I guess, just basic, I don't know, just a basic fantasy. And she's in the call girl center screaming and yelling and really playing into it, moaning, etc. And the guy is satisfied, and the whole office comes together and gives her a corsage, and congratulates her for popping her call girl cherry. Yay. And 2 weeks go by, and Judy's, you know, up and coming. She's on a roll. She's on a roll, and she's with this guy who has a housewife fantasy, and it's very long and drawling, and it's weird because his kid is like on the beach, essentially right below him, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, like, why you couldn't like do this at night or whatever. I don't know. Men are weird. What else happens here? Junie, bitch. Junie? No, not Junie. Judy. It's not Spy Kids. That's not even her name either. It's something else. Whatever. Judy has dinner, lunch with Jimmy, and there's like mammy paraphernalia in the kitchen, and I'm like, this is so Spike Lee, you know. Mammy if you don't know, Mammy is like a black stereotype character. She's essentially like a slave, and she's in like a red dress with an apron and a handkerchief on her head, and she's like black, like the color black with big red lips, and it's a whole thing, you know. Ugh. But like, we get a transition. Well, before the transition, and it's raining now, so yeah. We get a scene where there's a nightly news story about a little girl who falls down an elevator shaft while playing tag in her apartment. It's very sad. It keeps showing up in the story. And a CGI transition follows us through the rest of the movie as well. It's like a elevator opens up and the camera falls down it, and we go into the next. Whoa. We go into the. Whoa, what? Whoa. Everything's going wrong. We go into the next scene where another call girl is essentially being the mediator for a couple who can't decide what fantasy they want to have, and it's entertaining. We get some insight from Jimmy, who's talking to Judy about the job. He feels like it's not the right place for her. The Johns are like, well, one John in particular is telling her way too much about his life, and she's like, no, it's fine, but the money. And he's like, okay. And Judy goes to a bodega to get some cigarettes and sees a wanted poster of her ex-husband, and not the registration, what am I talking about? The owner is checking her out and trying to make a move on her, and it's gross. And Judy's back at work. Oh no, before that, he's Indian, and he's like calling the felon a black bastard, and I'm like, why can't we achieve racial unity as BIPOC people, you know? Where's the love? Judy's back at work, as I was saying, and Judy's back at work. She's performing a schoolgirl fantasy with Debbie Mazur, who's also a call girl, and it's very gross. Like, why as a society are we, like, I know this is the 90s in this movie, but like, it's still here. Like, why isn't normalized to dress up like a child essentially and be sexy? You know, like, why? And I look at women who do that side-eyed, because what are you doing? You know, like, you're perpetuating it. For what? Some cash? Get up. Stand up. What are you doing? You know? Back to my notes. We have another run-in with her ex, Judy's ex, and he gives her a Time magazine of Dorothy Dandridge, a vintage, but she isn't really impressed. I think she takes it, but she's not like, oh my god, take me back. But no. We get another news story about Hallie not about Halle Berry, but Halle Berry as a news caster, and she's interviewing, I think the mom, not the mom, but the aunt. Wait, no, that's a different scene, but she's giving the child that had that accident a birthday greeting, and yeah, that's it. My favorite scene comes up. No. My second favorite scene comes up, and it's like this old head on the phone with Judy, and his whole fantasy. I don't know, like, it's funny because, like, it's not sexual. It's just weird. Like, he's in, what's the underwear where it's like chaps? A jock strap. He's in a jock strap, and he's like, he has a whole setup of like a baseball game somewhere in his basement, I'm sure, and he's like the star pitcher, and Judy's just like narrating. And he's like, whoa. He's like, he scores or something, and he like hits a ball, and it's like all these different angles of him in this jockstrap hitting this baseball, and it's so weird, but it's like, it's so ashy. Like, this is such an ashy scene. Oh my god. You know, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. You have to see it. I can't put it on here if you're watching the video, but like, it's somewhere. Go watch it. It's so weird, but like, oh, and they have a mask, kind of butch call girl who's doing a pretty white girl fantasy for this John, and it's funny because she's like really into it. Like, she's like, ain't I pretty? Ain't I pretty? Oh god. Oh, and she's like, I can say it because it's not like explicit really, but like, she's like, here my flower bed. Ew. Here my flower bed. And she's like, she's like, she's making all these like wet sounds, and it's like, oh my god. Like, at this point, I'm like, I'm about to turn this off. Like, I don't remember this. That's one thing I don't remember, is this. I don't remember this scene from when I watched it at first, like years ago. It's just so, this whole movie's a mess. We get a Foxy Brown fantasy with all the trappings of a blaxploitation film, 70s. Judy has an afro, and she's fighting off all these bad guys. Blaxploitation, if you don't already know, basically just a lot of all black cast all black cast movies from the 70s, lots of kung fu, it's progressive in a way, but also we're only ever like addicted to like crack in the movie or over sexualized, both male and female. You know, I watched a lot of it as a child, definitely not like the extremes, but like, you know, all the Foxy Brown, Dolomite, what's that? What's it called? Shaft. Yeah, I watched a lot of that. And from my lens as a child, like, I remember being like, oh wow, this whole cast is somebody black. That's cool. But I didn't think about how we were still very much stereotypes. In the next scene, Judy sets up a date with a John, the same John that's, well, very TMI about his personal life, and he blows her off, and it's sad for her. Judy talks with a new John who's very abrasive, abusive in his fantasies. Jennifer Lewis cuts him off the line for Judy's safety, but she still wants to go through with it. He finishes off, and he'll be back later in the story in the worst way. Just know that. The little girl news story makes another appearance with sad news that the girl is still in critical condition. Judy has a date with her ex at a diner, and she gives him a taste of what her job entails over dinner. Like, in the booth, she's like doing her routine. He's very impressed, getting very excited, and tries to get with her, and she's like, no. And he's like, why weren't you a freak when we were married? And she's essentially like, you never brought it out in me. And he tries to get with her again, and she's like, no, and goes back to work. There's another schoolgirl fantasy. Judy's burnt out at this point, and there's a trippy kind of Crooklyn scene, like in Crooklyn when the family goes to the South, and it's like trippy, and it looks like the TV's broken, but it's not. It's like Spike was just trying to like show how different it is from New York, kind of like that in this scene. Judy ends up taking the offer from Madonna earlier in the story for her own line at home to work at home. Judy's ex returns with some raggedy yellow flowers. He's ignored. There's a Good Times Jefferson's fantasy that's funny with Spike as George Jefferson and Judy as I forgot the girl's name, but she's like, but ma, ooh. And like Spike is like George Jefferson trying to like tell her what to do. You shouldn't be doing this. And he shoots the phone with a shotgun, and everyone's like, oh, and Jennifer Lewis is Wheezy, and it's a bunch of like buffoonery. And they all start dancing at the end, and that's that. Moving on, Judy is at home, and she's on the phone with the same creepy guy from earlier. He talks about how on Oprah, there's call girls for an interview on Oprah, and they were all ugly to him, and he accuses Judy of being ugly. And we get another elevator transition with the weird. This is what I was talking about. This scared me so bad watching this in my dark childhood living room. Like it's like you're in the elevator and it opens and you drop down and it's black. And then the guy just like turns around and it's like dun dun. And it's so terrible. Like why? And it cuts and we get a scene of Judy. She sees the little girl from the elevator incident in public in a wheelchair with her aunt, and she decides to give the aunt a check before she leaves New York for good, presumably. We get a famous scene, not famous scene, but famous Spike Lee camera work of her apartment moving away from her in the background while she's walking away. I don't know the terminology, but yeah, we also get a scene where she's kissing her ex-husband goodbye, and there's a bunch of phones falling out of the sky. I like that scene a lot. We also get a scene of Judy in LA, in a LA casting room, being exploited, shocker, in Hollywood too, as she did in New York. What a surprise. And after that we get a monologue from Judy, and that's it. We have a ending title card with Girl 6 on a theater as the movie that's showing, and the end on the billboard. I like that, but let's get into my final thoughts about it. Yeah. Okay. My final thoughts are, it's a classic Spike Lee film in terms of style. It's very stylistic, but I think that there was an uncut version that Suzan-Lori Parks wrote, but a lot was cut out, because that happens a lot with films that are kind of a bit lackluster story-wise sometimes. I want to believe that. So that's what happened, you know? There was a different version with a bit more substance that didn't make it. And that's the story, yeah. Here's the good. The costume design is A1. Shout out to Sandra Hernandez again. The transition from plain Judy to Judy in her more confident, bold Girl 6 era was very visually captivating. My favorite outfits were the snakeskin suit that Judy wears in the call center, and this top that Naomi Campbell wears in the bathroom, and the cow print jacket Madonna wears in the bar, in the second bar scene. Those are my three favorites. Hi, and thank you for listening to the very first episode of Faith'sFlix. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Faith'sFlix Podcast, and you can follow me on Instagram at _EFF.BEE_. That's my personal. I'll post on both pages as much as possible to get you all engaged, fill you in, give you some BTS footage. I just really want to know so much more about you all. And thank you. Bye.